imagine the box office that could be driven by Roman Reigns versus Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, in which you get to see the tribal chief smash The Rock.
Is the advocate for the reigning defending
No. Sorry. On the special counsel.
Special counsel, excuse me. I'm very sorry. Very sorry, Mr. Heyman. The special counsel for the tribal chief of the WWE.
You nervous?
A little bit, Paul.
Why?
Because you're an intimidating figure, Paul. You know a lot of things. You're 15 moves ahead of me before I even ask anything. All right.
I accept that.
You accept that. Paul Heyman is with us. Friday night SmackDown, a big tag team title unification match. The Bloodline, who you are very familiar with, the Usos, take on Randy Orton and Riddle in a battle between Raw and SmackDown. And, of course, also this Saturday night, the stars of SmackDown come into Rockford, Illinois at the BMO Harris Bank Center for Saturday night's main event. A big week for the Bloodline, right, Paul?
Always a big week for the Bloodline. We are the top attractions in a billion-dollar industry that is, and those billions of dollars are driven by the Bloodline. So, yes, it's always a big week because we carry the entire industry on our backs.
You say that you carry the entire industry on your backs. Recently, there was a bunch of news that came out about WWE's very profitable quarter coming out of WrestleMania and all these different things. And a lot of people point towards one singular act in WWE, and that is the one you are associated with, Roman Reigns and the Usos, the Bloodline. What is the level of return on investment right now on something like Roman Reigns? Significant levels. What is the future now? Because it seems like he's beaten everyone. This is something Roman was talking about on television recently. Who's next? I don't need to borrow a phrase from Goldberg, but who is next? Who could possibly scale this mountain that he's created for himself?
It appears that Drew McIntyre thinks that he's next.
Do you think he's capable of it?
Oh, Drew McIntyre is very capable. You're only as great as the challengers that you turn back. And the problem for Drew McIntyre, and I said this to Roman Reigns several years ago on Monday Night Raw, and that was during a period in which he was the big dog and had to achieve more, by his own admission, to become the tribal chief. Drew McIntyre is the right guy in the right place at the wrong time. Because any other time in history, Drew McIntyre would wipe out the entire division. Drew McIntyre would most likely unify the heavyweight championships. Drew McIntyre would have a chance to go down as the greatest of all time. No doubt. But this is Roman Reigns' era. We live in the time of the tribal chief. So Drew McIntyre, in my opinion, most amazing talent on the face of the planet, but there's an asterisk. And that asterisk denotes, with the exception of Roman Reigns. And that's the problem for Drew McIntyre. Against anybody else, my goodness, there's no stopping Drew McIntyre, which means Roman Reigns has to be at his absolute best. Because one mistake, one slip up against Drew McIntyre, you get kicked right in the face with a Claymore and you will get pinned. So we don't take Drew McIntyre lightly. He's a danger. He's a threat. He's a worthy opponent for the tribal chief. And we're very cognizant of that fact.
Are there other worthy opponents that are looming on the horizon? Because there's some that fans keep bringing up. There is the one match that is tied by blood that everyone keeps bringing up, and you know people ask you about it all the time. Is it going to happen? Are we going to see a battle within the family between Roman Reigns and his significant family member, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson?
That's up to Dwayne Johnson. If Dwayne Johnson wants to be embarrassed and humiliated and smashed in front of the entire world against Roman Reigns, he's welcome to step in against the tribal chief. My goodness, what box office that would be. Imagine the box office that could be driven by Roman Reigns versus Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, in which you get to see the tribal chief smash The Rock.
It'd be significant. And now, what is there been any rumblings of that? Is that something on the horizon you think is a possibility, or is it just simply just a dream match until a dream becomes a reality?
You know, I had a friend who was a very prominent litigator. And I mean, you used to be involved in, lawsuits that were, hundreds of millions of dollars. ExxonMobil and, AT&T and, multi-billion-dollar corporations, way beyond the scope of most people's imagination. And he would tell stories that sometimes he'd go into the CEO and say, well, the settlement offer is $350 million. And the CEOs would say, I want $1 billion. And he would say to the opposition, cut me the check. And he'd walk into the CEO's office and he'd put down a check for $350 million and say, take a good look at it, and then tell me no. We can speculate all we want about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson stepping into the ring with Roman Reigns. It's masturbatory fantasies until there's a piece of paper in front of us with Dwayne Johnson's signature on it. Then I know it's real. And until then, it's just fantasy. It's fantasy of Dwayne Johnson's to come and get the rub from the tribal chief Roman Reigns. It's fantasy of Dwayne Johnson to feel the energy of 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000 people live cheering on as the tribal chief smashes the Rock. It's fantasy of Dwayne Johnson to step into the ring with the greatest of all time, Roman Reigns, then, now, and forever. And until he puts his name on a contract, it's just his fantasy.
You paint a picture, quite a beautiful picture there, Paul. Bloodline, not just Roman, but Bloodline and his obvious connection with his cousins and the Usos has grown to become quite the faction, if not the most powerful faction in all of sports entertainment at the moment. Where does it rank with other factions you've seen? You've been associated with some in the past. You've helped create stories around some of the biggest factions of all time. Where does this group as a collective go, especially coming out of WrestleMania Backlash, where they were featured in the main event? Where does this group stand as a collective right now in the pantheon
Number one.
of wrestling? Number one?
Number one. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Horsemen were at their peak in 1986. And Tully Blanchard and Arn Anderson left for WWE in 1988. And that was really the height of the Horsemen. A couple of years. The Dangerous Alliance, I will admit, was a collective of talent the likes of which no one had ever seen before. But we didn't get that long of a run. We weren't even together for a year. There's the NWO, but how long did their impact last? Mm-hmm. So there were some great factions, DX, Evolution, the Heenan family. Mm-hmm. These were some really great factions, but to maintain on top, to consistently main event at the absolute highest level, no one has ever done it like the Bloodline. And we control all the championships. And we will control the Raw Tag Team Championships once RK Bros stop skirting the issue and actually step into the ring with the Usos in a unification match.
Now, this has been delayed. We were supposed to get this at the pay-per-view a few weeks ago, premium live event. And now we're going to get it on Friday Night SmackDown. Quite the treat for fans watching around the world, correct? And what is the feeling with the Usos right now heading into this match?
I'm going to decide which shoulder to place which title on.
You are, once again, ahead of the game. There's been some video that came of you online recently, being at ringside with the Bloodline. And it's obviously you guys have been having so much fun in the last year or so, truly feeling invigorated. Talking to everyone on the WWE roster, performing in front of live fans since last summer has been an absolute treasure when you were not able to do that for such a long time with the pandemic. But it seems like being in front of these fans, sometimes they really get under your skin. You're throwing your jacket in the crowd. It seems like you're almost wanting to jump over the barrier sometimes, Paul, and grab some people by the throat. It seems like they're really starting to bother you.
I'm not from the Midwest. I'm from New York, which means I'll whoop you. And I take things very personal, especially when you're not acknowledging your tribal chief. And these are people who refuse to acknowledge the tribal chief. And I won't stand for that. Now, there's an old, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. Hey, I play a wuss on TV, but I'm from New York. I'm not from Rockford. I'll deal with you,
Okay.
and the 11th commandment is thou shalt acknowledge thy tribal chief. And the 12th commandment is if thou shalt not acknowledge thy tribal chief, thou shalt be dealt with by the special counsel.
Okay. All right. So maybe that's something to look forward to ringside Saturday night's main event at the BMO Harris Bank Center. Tickets on sale now. And of course, once again, Friday night SmackDown, a tag team title unification match. It will be RK Bro taking on the Usos. One final question. You mentioned acknowledgement there. That phrase has become so powerful with Roman Reigns saying it. You are obviously a special counsel to him. Where was the counsel on coming up with that as a defining phrase to pull in the WWE Universe to his power, to pull them in and almost, take the knee at his proverbial under the tree that he has created for himself?
Oh, we live on the island of relevancy. And Roman Reigns is the biggest box office attraction in sports entertainment history. WWE had its first billion-dollar year last year. Who was on top, the front and center, the focal point of the entire promotion for all 365 days last year? Roman Reigns. Who was the main event of WrestleMania? Roman Reigns. Who was the main event of SummerSlam? Roman Reigns. Who was the main event of Survivor Series? Roman Reigns. Who main evented all over the world? Roman Reigns. Who was the commerce facilitator? Who drove this revenue? Who was the box office attraction that led WWE to its first billion-dollar year? Roman Reigns. Now, we're not asking for respect. We get that. We're not asking for appreciation. We get that. We're not asking for money. We get that. We're not asking for affirmation. We get that. What we want, what we deserve, what the tribal chief demands is acknowledgement. Acknowledge your tribal chief, for that is what is in his heart and soul, and that is what you shall deliver to your tribal chief, because plain and simple, he over-delivers for you every single Friday night on SmackDown, the same way he'll over-deliver for you in Rockford this Saturday. That's what he does. He's the tribal chief, then, now, and forever. And for that, you shall acknowledge him.
Paul, thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
I'm sure you do. Wait, before you go, acknowledge your tribal chief.
I acknowledge him.
Thank you. Thank you. Your tribal chief loves you and appreciates you.
Thank you.